when you have GLCs mixed with politics, then that is the beginning of the problem.
Okay. Hello everyone, I'm your host Dexter, and you're listening to the Sabah Matters Podcast by The Daily Express, where we discuss news that made our headlines in the land below the wind and speak not only to policymakers, but also entrepreneurs, experts, and industry leaders, and inspiring individuals on why Sabah matters to the rest of Malaysia and to the rest of the world. So today joining us is none other than Datuk John Lo, a veteran banker with years of experience who also serves as an advisor to the Sabah government within the SEAC, which is the Sabah Economic Advisory Council, and also sits on many board of directors, and also IDS, which is Institute for Development Studies. Okay, so he is also a columnist in the Daily Express. His popular column is called Inside Out, which covers critical insights on Sabah's economy, politics, and as well as development. Datuk, thank you for joining us today. All right.
You're welcome.
So let's start off by discussing the state's revenue. Okay, so state revenue grew from 4 billion ringgit when Hajiji took office in 2020, all right? And now it's nearly about 8 billion ringgit at the end of his first cycle last year. So what do you attribute as the main factors to Sabah's economic growth?
This is a very interesting question, Dexter. I think the most important thing is we need to get ourselves organized in the economy, as I think this GRS government in the first term has laid the foundation of getting ourselves together by looking at the revenue side. Without money, there's nothing much you can do.
Right. Yeah.
It applies to the state government as well as to the individual. How the economy is going to go from now onwards, if I may just look at the historical side very briefly. Okay, Hazizi inherited a government that has been ravished by the COVID-19. At that time, investment was zero, understandably so. Economic growth was negative, and the state treasury was running low. What Hazizi has done on the advice of Sabah Economic Advisory Council was to implement investor-friendly policies. I believe very strongly that one of the most important economic tools a government has is the ability to make policies. If it is a good policy, the economy will move. If it's a bad one, well, we all know what it's been like. So, having said that, the economic started to move in a positive manner by these investors-friendly policies when investors started to come in. So it started as a trickle. In the first few years of Azizi's first term, and then it increased in both in the intensity and in size. The result of which, as we speak now, my own estimate is that total, meaning those that are already included, implemented, approved, and also quite a large amount under negotiations or intention. I think the total amount is now in excess of about 60 plus billion, which is, considering the time frame, this is very, very substantial. In terms of how the economy is moving, I think the obvious sector that is now gaining a lot of momentum is oil and gas. Hazizi managed to get back some oil and gas rights. I think all these are available in the public domain. And Then we have the commercial collaborative agreement in which Petronas is obligated to work with Sabahan entrepreneurs, and that has resulted in something like 80, I'm sure now maybe has reached 100 plus already, of Sabah companies, actual Sabah companies, functioning and operationally company in the oil and gas, working with Petronas under the guidance of Petronas. This has never happened before. We never had a stake as a state for Sabahan's individual companies. Never had a stake in oil and gas. The other thing that is interesting is this. Hazizi has mandated a quota. 80% of oil and gas companies operating in Sabah, the staff must be Sabahans. So that has created a situation where, for the first time in history, we don't have enough skilled Sabahans in the oil and gas industries.
Yes.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is I want to move now to tourism. Okay, tourism is a big part of Sabah's economy. We have recovered very well from COVID, and under the new minister, he has now announced, and I totally support that, is that he's looking for to elevate the value of tourism in terms of expenses per tourist arrival, because this is going to be very important in the future. Right now, we are talking about about 8.5 billion tourist receipts. On average, we are only about 1,005 to 2,000 expenditure per arrival, and that is mainly about 2,000.
Okay.
We can quite easily, if we have the right products and the right policies, to increase it to 2 times, 3 times.
So what do you think we're lacking? Because most of them come here and they're only spending minimal amounts, right? Is that the consensus? Because a lot of tourists are spending like maybe budget hotels or Airbnb, right? The spending power may be quite low. So is there anything else that Sabah can introduce to increase the spending power, maybe?
This is a very good point to highlight. There are a couple of things that determine the expenditure tourism. Number one is you must have reason for them to spend.
Yes.
Okay. In the case of Sabah, we don't have sufficient high-end tourism products. That's number one. Number two, our hotels. There aren't many hotels that are really high-end, apart from the 2 Shangri-Las. And then, very importantly, if you look at the flights, big majority of our planes coming into Sabah are budget. Yeah, what we need is many more full-service airlines. That is going to be very critical, because the high-value tourists, they prefer to go by full-service airlines. So this is where the problem is. The other one, as you may remember, there was a complaint by a tourist that was highlighted in the Daily Express. We have a very friendly population, fantastic for tourism. And we are charging sometimes 5-star prices. but our proficiency in service is 3 stars. Yeah, you remember that. So this is important. While we are very friendly, our systems, our professionalism are not on par. Okay. I will give you some good example. Bali.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of natural assets, Bali is not comparable with Sabah. We have almost everything you want, and yet the Bali is receiving tourists. Their tourism receipt is about 4 or 5 times more than ours. Their service, the way they sell, the way they market their tourism is first class. One thing is we need to realize that Bali is marketed as Bali, on its own. I think it's about time we in Sabah, or we have been doing that, but not intense enough.
Okay.
Is we should be marketing Sabah as Sabah, and this is the way to go.
Okay.
Okay.
So since circling back to investments, right? So investments have increased in Sabah, and there's a lot of foreign investments. Of course, most of it is foreign investors. So what is it about domestic investment maybe that we are lacking? So we have China coming in, we have South Korea coming in to invest billions into Sabah,
Okay.
right? But we are lacking in domestic investors. Okay. So examples like, if you're saying from Peninsula, we only have F&B, Oriental Coffee, or Zeus Coffee, right? These are popping up slowly everywhere. But what about other sorts of investments? How can we attract more domestic investments into Sabah?
This is a very fundamentally important issue. When you want to revive, to restructure an economy the way that Sabah was a few years ago, we almost started from ground zero. Okay. If you go straight to domestic or Sabah tourists, investors, will face this problem. Number one is capital. Number two, expertise. Number three, market access. Okay. You take, for example, now the obvious choice for us, the way that Sabah was a few years ago, was to attack the oil and gas. There aren't any experts or company in oil and gas. And that's one. The other one is you are talking about capital. You are talking about billions. Okay. So the right strategy was at that time to look for foreign investors who have access to market, the capital, the expertise, and so on. Now, having said that, I think we have been very successful in attracting a number of foreign investors. The foundation has been laid. As I've written a few times in Daily Express, now is the time for Sabah, particularly. I'm very concerned about Sabah because of the Sabah for Sabahan policy. Now is the time for our own people to really look at it and say, you have now this, and this, and this already inside. Okay? Sogit is full. Okay? KKIP is full. Okay? Now, the state government is talking about establishing new industrial parks. Now is the time actually for Sabahan investors to really look at it and say, this. Number one, is this the right time to go in? I say yes. It is because your risk factor now has been reduced because the economy is growing, is moving. You're not starting from almost ground zero. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there is a big potential for Sabahan investors to work with existing foreign investors as partners or as supplementary to their services. So there is a various way of looking at it, But the important thing is now, in terms of investment, Sabah is now on the national map. Okay, I think we are instead of being the last before, we are now, I think, the number 3 or number 4.
Okay.
So as I want to come back again to this risk factor. You see, when Sabah had no foreign investor, the economy is low. The bankers were also not interested. So getting finance for the Sabah investors, not easy. Okay. Now all these things is more or less in place, so we can start really looking at it. And it would be very nice if our investors, our Sabah investors, really can look at Sabah now and say, okay, we want to do this A, B, C, D, E, either individually or even as a consortium. Because there are a number of potentials. Oil and gas is still very big sector to go in, Then I must also emphasize that, for example, tree planting. We call it industrial tree plantation. Yeah. Tan Sri Majikan's companies has harvested the first batch of tree grown in Sabah. Yeah, and that has a lot of potential. Reason being that trees can grow much faster in Sabah. We can harvest our trees from 8 years to 12 years.
Okay.
Whereas in places like New Zealand, America, Russia, and so on, with the pine trees, you are talking about 30, 40 years. So we have a time advantage of 3-4 times less. So here is an area that I think Sabah, our own Sabah people, can really look at it seriously and follow Tan Sri Majikan's footstep, to plant trees.
Okay. Well, it seems that Sabah is on the right track when it comes to investments, right? But I think we can't just focus solely on investors coming in. So what about our state GLCs? All right. So, for example, some GLCs have become sinkholes, right? With allocations going to companies that have nothing to show in terms of revenue. Okay. Of course, the public they're aware about certain GLCs that are performing very well. All right. Examples are like Setco, Sabah Mineral Management, for example, SMM. So what attributes to their success, right? And how could you name maybe some of the 200 over GLCs, right? Some that you can highlight which are in the red and really needs to pick things up.
You see, let's put GLCs in proper perspective. Okay. We have about 260 plus GLCs. My own experience is, my first experience with GLC was as a director of KBD in 1987. So it's way back. And when I was in the corporate sector, I had to deal quite a lot with GLCs. Now, that's number one. Number two is the GLC problem is huge. I think let us not downplay this. Yeah, it is huge. That's the other one is historical. It's a legacy problem. GLC's problem started in the 80s. Yeah, until now. Okay, and I would say Musa or Tun Musa now, he started looking at it in a very serious way. Okay, and then now Azizi, I think he, this our chief minister realized that we cannot let the GLC go on like this. It is a thing.
But where did it all begin?
Sorry.
It all started at the end of the Berjaya era, do you think?
Oh, how GLC started?
I think GLCs were started by Berjaya, correct?
Yes, yes.
But when did it all go wrong?
Oh, soon after Harry stepped down,
Ah,
you see, that was my another point that I like to emphasize.
mm,
Uh, when you have GLCs mixed with politics,
mm,
then that is the beginning of the problem,
okay.
and we could never get out of that cycle,
Mm,
until recently.
okay.
And we still have some problem, that's number one. The other one is, of course, closely connected with the political factor, negative political factor in GLC is, of course, then you have the problem of governance, management, financial management. All these things are now have come together, and the problem is massive.
Mm.
Okay, how massive are we talking about? Okay, now one has to understand the size of the problem. You have, number one, 260 plus GLCs. Okay, number two, majority of them are not well managed. Okay, number three, they have in control of monopolies in almost every sector of the economy, whether it is in tourism,
Mhm.
ports, infrastructures, I don't know what else, everything there in the mining and so on. So if these things we cannot get our act together, then the Sabah economy cannot move. I think this is how Azizi look at it. So I think it is a good thing that he has acted quite firmly to begin to put the house in order. Legacy problem of 40, 50 years cannot be resolved within 2 years.
Correct.
So it's going to take a while.
Yeah, yeah.
The other one is this: the asset that variable asset that the GLCs have lost. A lot of premier or high value land
Mm.
that the state government has given to GLCs for a mere sum of $1,000,
Sold for pennies on the dollar.
and they join JV with somebody,
Mm.
and most of them are non-Sabahan companies.
Mhm.
And then we lost control. And not only did we lost control, we also ended up with a lot of debts. If you look at KK, for example, all the failed projects in KK, the majority of them are GLC, JV with companies from West Malaysia. And this is a very serious problem. Very serious problem. Because when people come into Sabah, they look at all these failed projects, it's giving a very bad perception, for Sabah.
Okay, but not all of them are underperforming, right? So, for example, like SECO and Sabah Mineral Management, what are they doing right? Surely something must be done well to manage the GLCs well, right?
Turning around a company or a group of company is never easy in the corporate world. Turning around 260 companies with a lot of political considerations and so on, and a lot of baggage, historical baggage, is a very tough job. You mentioned about SECO. SECO had lost a lot of valuable land against a lot of people's opposition. Hazizi appointed James Wong, an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there was a lot of opposition,
Yes.
but I think SECO, to cut a long story short, is turning around.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the first time in many years, SECO is beginning to make some money.
Yes.
Okay. You're talking about SECO. The future of SECO will be bright if we can continue what James has started. I give you an example of JCO, Johor SECO.
Mm-hmm.
So one simple example. Johor SECO owns KBJ,
Mm-hmm.
which is a public listed company.
Mm-hmm.
KBJ makes something like 370 million every year. So if we can run SECO well, and I'm very happy to say SECO is on the right path now, there are a number of businesses that SECO can do.
Okay.
Yeah, even the existing one or the new one that can generate a lot of revenue for the state government. And of course, generate a lot of good jobs as well.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Correct.
But I think we are on the right track now with SECO. Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on, we would like to ask you, Dato, of course, about the Sabah Economic Advisory Council.
Okay.
So, of course, your role in SEAC is to advise the state government, correct? So, how helpful has the SEAC been for the state government? And for example, how many of the proposals have actually been taken up by the state government? And what kind of proposal has been rejected? Maybe you can share with us.
Let me clarify this first. Okay. Hashishi, on being appointed the chief minister the first term, the first thing he formed was the Sabah Economic Advisory Council.
Okay.
As I said to you, we have no money, no investment, so on.
Mhm.
So one of the first thing we worked with him
Mhm.
was to roll out some investor-friendly policies.
Okay.
Now, I think that is one of the biggest achievement that
Of SEAC.
of course other people must have contributed.
Okay.
So we urge him to look at policies and so on. Since then, I think the state government has adopted a more policy-based administration.
Okay.
So that is important. There are a few things that I'm very fond of. Number one is we also, among other things, many other things, we work with the youth, Sabil,
Okay.
Sabah
Young business
and industry leader.
Uh-huh.
I think of which I believe you
Correct.
are a founding member, Dexter. We work with the youth, and we managed to get CM Azizi to meet the youth, and Azizi was very receptive and has invited the youth to produce policy recommendations to the government. The impact of that policy recommendation, I think, as you can see now, a lot of younger Sabahans have been appointed to key positions. I.e. James Wong, Roger Chin. We have now Sabah Oil and Gas Development Corporation is headed by a young man, Amil. Sabah Energy Corporation, Sabah Mineral Management, we have Tasha. There are many now. There there is a main focus now to shift from the traditional way of appointment now to younger Sabahans.
I see. So in a way, the Sibyl actually is an avenue for the state government to look at potential talents there that Sabah has,
Yeah,
right?
I think the logic, Dexter, behind it is simply this. We believe that the future of Sabah is in our young Sabahans, not those who have already sort of on the expiry situation.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we look at it, the future of Sabah it will be very challenging domestically, nationally, and of course globally. Okay, the technology side, for example, is developing very fast in the world. We need a lot of young people who can and adapt and who can use technology to drive the Sabah economy in the future. And I think this is happening now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems that Sabah is moving in a very positive way, right? When it comes to empowering young individuals, right? Of course, Sibyl, there are many people from different industries, right? Of course, one of the largest industries in Sabah is, of course, palm oil. Okay. Being one of the top states in Malaysia that produces palm oil, Sabah has contributed some 200 billion ringgit in revenue, right? And the oil extraction rate, which I got from you, is at 20%, which is very high. The highest, actually, in fact. Yet 90% of these plantations are owned by West Malaysian firms, right? I should say non-Sabahan firms. So how and when was this great injustice to Sabahans allowed to happen, right? And what can we do to address this issue?
You mean the oil palm thing?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
This is a very difficult situation. It's a legacy problem.
Correct.
Okay. I remember very clearly the old days because I was a banker at that time. Harris, Tan Sri Harris now, I would say one of the most proactive chief minister we ever had. He actually allocated 963,000 acres of land for Sabahans.
Okay.
Every lander Sabahan will get 15 acres. Okay. But after he left office, all this land was sold to West Malaysian companies. Okay. The result of which is this, as I have written many times, this is my estimate, and I'm not far from wrong, is 90% of our oil palm is now in the hands of non-Sabah.
Non-Sabahans.
Okay. Now, if that had been fair to us, we would have been okay. But unfortunately, it's not.
Okay. So what can we do?
We have a situation where we are the number one state in terms of oil extraction rate, OER, meaning for every ton of fruit, we can extract more CPO out than all the other states in
Malaysia.
In Malaysia. Okay. We produce about 5.5 million metric tons of CPO. Now, most of this CPO are not going downstream in Sabah. They are all, most of it is taken out. Now, what does that mean? It means, number one, we have no downstream investment, no downstream activities, no downstream jobs. Okay, no value add. Okay, so we are only a commodity producer for some factories outside Sabah, and people from other states are benefiting from our CPO in terms of, downstream value added incomes and so on.
So do you think we should tax them maybe a higher rate? Maybe I'm sure there are things we can do about this, right?
Oh yeah. That is for sure. The other one is this. the investment side. Now the technology has improved so much. There are a lot of things you can do, with CBO. Okay, there are a lot of Chinese firms who, with the necessary technology, who wanted to come in. They look at Sabah. Wow, you got 5.5 million hectares. They want to come in, but we don't have the CBO in Sabah.
Okay.
You take, for example, now CBO can be converted to green fuel.
Yeah.
For jet planes, so on. But we don't have the fuel. The minimum plant requirement is, say, 1 million metric ton. We don't have 1 million metric ton. So these are the things that are very serious. The other one I want to highlight to you, Dexter, is this. We are the cheapest in terms of land assessment. On average, we are talking about 6 ringgit per acre. Other states are charging 20, 30. Pahang is the most expensive. They're charging about something like 200 ringgit. And then you look at all the profits that are going out of Sabah into the books in KL. That has an impact on our 40%. How to establish all this. This is why Roger is having a hard time trying to get all these figures out. Because all the figures are booked in KL. The headquarters are in KL. They got only a small branch office here. So these are the issues that we must sort out. The other thing, talking about land assessment, there are some West Malaysian firms having titles with 0 assessment, some of the older titles.
Oh, okay.
So we have 1.74 hectares or 4 million acres of land in oil palm, 90% of which non-Sabahans. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the best land that we have is in oil palm. So it is a huge loss to Sabah. This is something that I keep on saying that we must look into this so that we can get our fair share of this industry.
Okay. Well, I think we've covered quite a lot here, Dato, right? And I think we should end on a less serious note. Okay. So
Sorry,
of course,
Dexter, can I just come back?
Yeah.
Apart from Sebil,
Okay.
there are a couple of things that I'd like to highlight also. The Sabah Economic Advisory Council, together with the lawyers, we have recommended to CM to form the Sabah Law Reform Council.
Okay.
This is hugely important, not only for this generation, but for many generations to come. The reason being that a lot of our laws are very out of date.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, we need also new laws to catch up with international development. Okay. Now, having said that, I'm very happy that this council, chaired by the Tan Sri David Wong, our former Chief Judge of Sabah and Sarawak, and his 5 other members, all very prominent, very outstanding lawyers. The first thing they do is, on the recommendation of Sabah Economic Advisory Council, is to look at the land law, our land enactment. It has a little bit of amendments here and there, but never was there or has been a comprehensive review. This, I am very happy to tell you, Dexter, it's already done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's already done. They have already submitted it to the AG, Datuk Brendan So, and it's now in process of.
Ah,
So I hope in the near future we will see an updated land and ordinance, you call it.
okay.
And as I said before, this is going to have a very, very huge impact
Mm.
on the economy of Sabah because land is our biggest asset.
Correct.
Okay, that's number one.
Uh-huh.
Number two, again, I want to emphasize this is going to impact your generation and your future generation, many generations to come. Land is our premier product. Oil and gas will run out one day. Our land will never go away. So we need to look after it. We need to, keep it for our future generations.
Correct.
So many amendments that I think the Sabah Law Reform Council have done will be towards this direction. This is a major development that will have a lot of impact for all Sabahans.
So hopefully with this, there'll be less abandoned projects as well in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's going to, you see, land has impact on the individual as property,
The buyers.
on family homes,
Yeah.
business,
Uh-huh.
plantations, oil and gas, everything. You name it, we are land-based, in Sabah. It's going to be very exciting.
Great.
Mm.
Okay. So, Datuk, I think we've picked your brain for quite a lot of things relating to the economy, for investments. So perhaps you could share with us your Sabahan journey.
Sorry.
Your Sabahan journey, right? How your story and your journey in Sabah. Okay. What was Sabah like in the earlier days? And what are some of the important moments that you've witnessed in your life? So, for example, many young Sabahans have read about Tun Mustafa, okay, but none of them have actually met him in person. All right. What was he like as a person? Maybe you can share with us more a bit on that.
Oh, the Tun Mustafa came from Kudat. I am also from Kudat.
Okay.
Okay. The first time I met Tun, when in 1965, about that period when I just left school, I was in the civil service as a protocol officer, carrying bags, in other words, and then on and off, I do get to see him. People like Tan Sri Peter Lo, who is distantly related to me, Sai-Kurak, Tun Sai-Kurak, one of the nicest men that I know. Later on, when I went to study in England, I formed, together with some Sabahan students, we formed the Sabah Student Union.
Oh.
So we got a chance to meet up with Mustafa on and off. He invited us to his house in North Highgate, for a bit of dinner and so on. And then when I came back to work in the bank, so again, I have interaction with him. The most outstanding memory that I have with Tun Mustafa was that I knew when I was in the bank that he was very well connected in the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was very well connected. And what was he like? Very charismatic. When he walked into a room, you don't have to look at him. You can feel his presence.
Okay.
That was the man. that I know. But very generous in nature. I always remember his company, not company, his secretary by the name of Joseph Pang. He had got some kidney problem, quite serious. He actually flown him to Cambridge to be treated.
Did Mustafa flew him to
Yeah,
Cambridge?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I helped to look after him at that time, So he was cured, and I am quite sure, of course, he has passed away since. I am quite sure Joseph Pang would have been one of the most grateful men to Mustafa.
Okay. So perhaps for the closing, okay, what is your message to Sabahans today, or maybe to the to all young Sabahans, right? What is your message to them? What words do you have to inspire Sabahans to give back to the community, or perhaps maybe Sabahans who are overseas or maybe in KL?
Yeah.
How can we bring them back here? Do you have any model or any words that can inspire Sabahans to give back to our state?
Okay. I have traveled around the world. I had at one time intended to migrate like a lot of Sabahans, even until today. And I look at the countries that I have visited. Okay. I look at Sabah. We are not the best. We are definitely not the worst. In fact, we are quite good. Okay. Economically, we have been going down for a long time. But things are beginning to improve. I would say this, to Sabahans in general, is this. Sabahans must stick together because, the previous era, we have always been divided. We have always been manipulated by outsiders. We have seen hordes of Sarawakans come in. They have taken control of our economy in many trades, in many sectors. We have West Malaysian coming in. They own almost everything. Okay. Now the things are beginning to turn. I am very happy to see that there is a very distinct feeling now, a positive feeling of Sabah for Sabahans. And a lot of the Sabahan spirits is growing. People like, Roger, for example. I always use Roger because he started fighting for the 40%. It takes a lot of Sabahan spirit to do that. Okay. Now, to the older generations who have the money, the economy actually is moving. If only anyone, can take the trouble to go into, so for example, read more Daily Express. Yeah. It is all in the public domain that things are beginning to move.
Yes.
Maybe not perfect, but we are definitely moving in the right direction.
Okay.
To the young Sabahans, a lot of Sabahans that I met in Singapore, in Australia, and so on, are beginning to feel, that there is a change in Sabah, and that some of them actually have come back.
Okay.
And quite a few of them, in fact, are already back in Sabah. I think Cebu had quite a number,
Yes,
quite
that's
a few members who have come back. Eventually, I think we'll form the core group, of Sabahans. I can see, for example, a lot of Sabahans, young Sabahans now who have come back. They have started cafe. They have started electronic platform, and quite a few of them actually are in oil and gas. So I think the future is quite promising.
Okay.
But it is a big but.
Mhm.
The politicians must stick together, whether they are in opposition or in government. They must have one purpose in mind, and that is to serve Sabah properly. We cannot go back to the bad old days. Yeah. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Datuk, for joining us. That was very insightful. So don't forget that you can also subscribe to our channel, Daily Express, and stay tuned for more. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dexter. Thank you.